New year scene setter. The 2025 year is here, and so is Fantasy MLR. It's time to get all prepared, and we start off with going over everything that went down this offseason and how it's going to play into the upcoming season. The Fantasy Rucker Show starts right now.
Where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 136 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much to our Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on this journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in the MLR. Like you said, Maddie, we are back. The boys are back. The boys are back.
Town. The boys are back in town.
There you go.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back. The boys are back.
That one's too cool.
Yeah, we're looking for glory.
But yes, like we said, brand new year, brand new fantasy season. It is a new year scene setter on this episode of the Fantasy Rucker Show. A whole lot went down this offseason, and we are here to get you all caught up for what is a 2025 Fantasy MLR season coming up right around the corner. Happy New Year to all of our listeners out there. Hope you guys all had a fantastic holiday. Matt Yee, Devin Vanderpool, Ryan Yee here with you once again, and we are hitting the ground running when it comes to Fantasy MLR because 2025 is here. Boys,
we're so close.
We are so close to the start of the fantasy season.
A month and a bit.
Yeah, just
new year,
over
new us.
a month away. Yeah, new year, new us. How was your guys' holiday? Good New Year? New Year's resolutions?
Good, man. I mean, every year this happens is that over the holidays, when we're off and we're taking a break, we're enjoying time with the family, the MLR and all the teams decide that they're going to announce every big signing that they can possibly announce.
They're smart.
They're smart. They know people. All they're doing are just twiddling their thumbs on Twitter. And they're posting them except one team.
You'd be calling them
except
out,
one team.
and they get 3 weeks off from a Matty E call out. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, I'm about to call out a team
Yeah, I know.
pretty shortly here.
Yeah, I have a feeling what team that just might be. But hey, like we said, whole bunch of stuff have went down over the course of the handful of few weeks that we need to catch up on. It does feel like the league does, and the teams do time it in a way that makes our lives a little bit more difficult. 8 out of 9. Can you mention it, Maddie? We'll see. Or 9 out. Yeah, 8 out of 9. Do the math correctly. No, 10 out of 11. Maddie.
10 out of 11. Wow, I'm living in 2022. 10 out of 11.
I believe. And
What are we talking about? I got lost there.
You got lost. There is a team that we need to catch up on in terms of who is slacking a little bit this offseason. But nonetheless, Maddie, you told me about you. Vandy, how's your Christmas? How was the Christmas with the family, the New Year's, going through all that?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Busy. Whenever you got little ones, everybody wants to see them. You know, you love it. But busy. It was good, though. Spent a lot of time with the fam. Got to just kind of be on call, so started work when I wanted. The early mornings with the little guys. So yeah, no.
I guess what we're saying though is that you spent extra time over the holidays with the family, so that now that fantasy MLR season here, it is full on.
Lock myself in the basement. See you guys.
Yeah, exactly. That's good to know. Good to know. I'm glad the full commitment is here. Hey, and we had a pretty good fantasy offseason because obviously we dabble in a little bit of other fantasy sports as well. Fantasy football is one that we obviously have a lot of passion about, and one that kind of sparked our fantasy passion. I think each one of us are champions here. I don't want to give Matt too much credit because he did win
our league.
Serious keeper league that all three of us are in. But
10-year league.
I won the work league. Vandy, you won a friends families league. We're raking in the
shout out Josh.
This is a good start. This is a trend.
Thanks for the easy money.
This is a trend. This means it's heading out for us in 2025 for the Fantasy Ruckers season.
Or we peak too early.
Boys, I just want to make playoffs this year. That's the goal. Playoffs.
That's the goal. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet. But hey, it starts right here. And we'll break it all down. Like we said at the top of the show, this is an episode to get everyone caught up to everything that went down this offseason, to get everyone caught up to speed, to get prepared here for the upcoming fantasy MLR season. We also have some fun news to share with everybody who is interested in participating in the upcoming 2025 fantasy MLR season. I know that we've been teasing it and teasing it and teasing it all off season long, but the time is here for you to sign up and play some fantasy MLR.
Before you get into the housekeeping stuff, I gotta say, this is where it starts. For the people listening, for the people watching, all right? This is the start. If you're looking to register, I mean, maybe I sneak something in there too soon, but if you're looking to join one of the leagues, if you're looking to just follow along in the leagues, if you're looking to follow along the MLR and you want to just be in the know of all the players and all the stats and all the fantasy implications that are coming out of this.
Tell me more.
You got to be here with us. You got to be here with us.
All right. Getting me fired up, Maddie.
Let him go.
Getting me fired up. I liked it. I like it. All right. Well, the way you're gonna do it is at the Fantasy Ruckers. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, all that good stuff. Like, subscribe down below. Hit a thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. And follow on this fantasy MLR season. We also on wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us there too. Each and every single week, breaking it down, everything that happens in Major League Rugby as it pertains to the world of fantasy MLR, giving you our hot takes about things that are happening in the league, and that is going to start this episode. All right, at the Fantasy Ruckers. All right, Maddie, Vandy, you guys ready to jump into it? Episode 130. All right, let's do it. We'll start off with a little news dump.
News dump.
Forgot about that drop, dude. It caught me off guard a little bit.
Hey, Ryan, I'm not even gonna give you time to intro this because
Ryan, that was the wrong one, bro.
No. TFR.
It's been too long.
It's been too long.
I'm coming in hot.
I do have some things to touch on, but Maddie, it sounds like you got some pressing things that you need to say.
No. We gotta get this out.
Off his chest.
Look. We are about just what over a month away, just about a month away from preseason.
Sure.
And we're getting some pretty good announcements. We're getting some pretty good interactions. I would say, teams like the LA Bellends, the New England Free Jacks, NOLA. NOLA's doing a great job on the socials this year. San Diego, but they're not on Twitter. They're on Instagram. 10 out of the 11 teams doing a great job, I think.
Twitter?
Twitter. It's still Twitter. 10 out of the 11 teams are doing a great job here. All right. 10 of the 11 teams are absolutely crushing it this year. We're getting jerseys early. We're getting rosters nice, a nice fill out of rosters. But there is just this one team here. And Brian Ray, a guy who is huge in the MLR and just North American rugby community, called it out perfectly on Twitter, saying it is absolutely disgusting. Not his words. I acknowledge that.
You literally said from him.
Disgusting.
From him.
That he knows that the Anthem Carolina hasn't even announced any players except what? Jake Turnbull?
No, not even that.
They haven't even announced Jake Turnbull. We only know that because we talked to the guy.
We had him on the show.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And look, if I would actually be less mad if they were just another team, like if they were just a Gilchrist team, a Gil team, just flying around the league. But no, this team here represents or is set to represent the United States of America. They are the development pathway for the USA rugby program, and they can't even put together players and advertise players for Americans to look forward to watching. We are seeing more international players being signed with other teams than the representative of US rugby has announced. And that's ridiculous to me. They need to be the front runners. They need to be at the forefront of the MLR. They're being paid by World Rugby to do this. They have enough money to have social media managers. You have enough money to put out some lists. Get it out there. This is ridiculous. Represent the country a little bit better than that.
Wow.
Maybe I'll join in that passion soon.
Starting off the new year
51st
hot,
state,
Maddie.
baby.
Starting off the new year hot in this very first news and notes segment. You're right. Anthem Rugby Carolina has not announced any players. We're going to get through. We've been doing a breakdown the past couple of episodes before the year finished on kind of brand new confirmed signings that have been coming through. We did the Eastern Conference last episode.
We did the Western. Right over the Anthem.
We did the Western Conference before that because we did get some details and we talked about it then. We'll talk about it now. Anthem still the team here. Seven than a week into the brand new year, and we still haven't heard a peep out of what they have said. It is pretty crazy. I was talking with our website guru, Alistair Kirsch-Poole, in our weekly meeting as the website continues to get enhanced and developed ahead of
Let's
this
go.
brand new season, which is exciting. Check it out, thefantasyruckers.com. That it's free content for these teams to create during the offseason to create buzz. And you're right, Maddie, teams have been doing a good job about it. Old Glory DC kind of did like a 24 days of Christmas signings announcements, which was kind of
Yeah.
cool. It really is just a way to engage with the community. And yeah, Anthem hasn't been doing that. So we'll keep an eye open. We're continuing to update our databases in terms of when these signings come in, and I'm sure Anthem is going to have hopefully something soon. I know I have
Probably not.
heard through the grapevines, um, through
And
my sources, that there is a roster
And that's
there.
the worst part, right? That's the worst part is that they know the players that they have. They at least have a good idea of some
Well, I mean,
players.
training camp
And
started.
even if you go to AmericaRugbyNews.com,
Mhm.
Brian Ray has a list of players there that he knows, and he's a insider of insiders for the MLR. He knows are signed with the team, right? You're right, Ryan. Training camp has started. They know what players are there. They're just choosing not to
Mhm.
do this. And for a team that's funded by World Rugby, for a team that's representing US rugby, I think that's absolutely ridiculous because they have to be the standard and they need to step up to the plate.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I guess,
that's
I
fair.
guess we shall see. We shall see where
Now,
that
is there
goes
any
along.
advantage to playing that, you think?
I don't know. I don't know the reasoning
What?
behind it.
You advantage your
The
advantage
only
of not announcing your team and still going 1-15. Like, what's the big deal about that?
the only
Yeah, that's
thing
fair.
that I can think of is that there's still things being finalized with certain players. But that shouldn't stop them from
Releasing
announcing
something.
guys that we know are going to be there. Like we
Yeah.
know Jake Turnbull is going to be there. I have a pretty good idea that Sam
I
Butler
know Mitch
is going
Wilson's
to be
going to
there.
be there.
Exactly.
Like,
So
we all know this.
anyways, to kind of move on to the next topic, because I think everyone is in agreement, including our viewers and including our listeners, that they have been itching to see. I think there's a lot of hype around this Anthem team. I think people are
Yes.
stoked with what this team, the step they are going to take heading into this upcoming year after
Mhm.
still searching for that first win after their first season in the league. So we'll see. We'll see what that team looks like, and I'm sure, again, hopefully that roster will be coming out soon. But kind of touching on some other things that have been happening around the league since we last recorded this podcast is I think there was a lot of rumblings in terms of when the schedule got released about the introduction of midweek games. We have Tuesday games this year and we have Wednesday
Whoa.
games this year. And let alone
Whoa.
the fact that that is throwing an absolute wrench into how we are going to approach this
That.
fantasy season. And as your supreme commissioner, it is throwing a wrench into how I am trying to approach this season. There was also a player safety concern. And Matt, you alluded to it last episode, or you talked about it last episode, I believe, or the episode before that, about how it is not unique in a way that teams have done or leagues have done this. The Bunnings NPC has midweek games. Other
Mhm.
leagues have midweek games. But there was a concern among some player representation, largely the MLRPA, that this was something that is not acceptable for player safety and there needs to be something addressed to it. Since then, there has been an announcement in conjunction with the MLR and the MLRPA, which to me, I can't remember the last time that these two entities
Never.
have had
Never.
a co-release of a statement. This might be the first time. Our viewers and listeners comment down below and correct us if we're wrong, but I do believe that this is the first time that I'm seeing a official interaction between these two entities, and they're working together to address these concerns. And it sounds like that with these midweek games, which again I'm not too sure why it was implemented in the first place, but nonetheless a different conversation. They are adding certain stipulations to address those concerns that are among players, and that includes increasing the use of the loan system outside of the usual window, the ability for teams to travel with a larger squad to away matches, and guidelines regarding training days and training and off days during this period in weeks that teams have multiple games in a short period of time. So obviously, good to see that the MLR and MLRPA are working together to come to some sort of agreement. There were statements made by both Chris Mattina, the president of the MLRPA, and Graham Bradbury, the chief COO of the MLR. So that is good to see. Now, flipping this to a fantasy conversation, this gets pretty interesting because now we already know, Vandy, Maddie, about how
I do know.
um, challenging and how unique and interesting it has been to manage a fantasy MLR team as opposed to other sports, largely because of the last minute lineup releases, injuries, guys not making the lineup each and every single week. Now you're throwing in the idea that there might be players that you would never see in a normal week window appearing in these shortened week windows, guys that are loaned, guys that are traveling when they wouldn't normally travel, or guys that are appearing in these weeks that wouldn't normally appear. It's going to be interesting in these shortened weeks, these lineups that are going to be coming out, and I guess it's going to have managers thinking on a swivel here to kind of make these changes as they do come. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing from a actually both fantasy and just development perspective, it's gonna this larger squad idea, which I'm probably assuming they're gonna have like they're gonna do anyways. Like it's gonna force them to have to rely on some more depth, right?
Yeah.
You look at a guy like Seth Smith, for example, in Houston. Like this guy on a double header week, he's gonna have to start one of the games, right? Or he's gonna get meaningful playing time in one of the games. And for fantasy wise, that means that these guys, depending on what day of the week that they're playing, like they're gonna have value. They're gonna have value on fantasy teams. And you're gonna see, I think, it's gonna just be an increase in streamers this year.
Yeah, big time. Now, do you think that's why a lot of these teams seem to be like bulking up on a lot? Like, where like you can only start so many, wingers, and you can only start so many scrum halves, and then you start looking at the schedule. Do you think that's why they're doing this?
It does.
Because if that's the case, that's
does.
tough for a lot of positions where we didn't roster too. I'm looking at the scrum half. Some teams got literally 2 starting scrum halves.
Yeah. And it does feel that way, Vandy, because I was just going to touch on that. We'll touch on that when we kind of go through the teams. And it'll be a common theme throughout this episode about how it does feel like these teams are building up that depth.
Yeah.
It's a double
it's good teams too.
To that point, Vandy, like I think we talked about it before we were kind of going through this before this was announced. I think we're talking about how you want to stay away from those handcuffs where you don't know who's going to play the full games or starting. And it's like, now you kind of look at it from another lens of like, maybe you do need to have 2 starters from the same team.
Yep.
Like that's going to be a roster requirement because you're going to need to have the guy who's going to play on the midweek game and then the guy who's going to play on the weekend game.
Yeah.
Now you guys both played, good level rugby. What positions would you say? Obviously every position's affected, but could you see like 10s playing in quick succession? Like you're not going to see your front line, your big boys being able to play that much.
I think
short notice.
And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in my opinion, the positions that'll probably have the most turnover when it comes to a depth perspective, I think is going to be the back row. Front row, we already see a lot of rotation anyways. And I think we're going to see a lot more center rotation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, one
front
more
rows
thing
are like,
too.
yeah.
I just lost it. Never mind.
I was gonna say
no, sorry. Do you think this? You know how sometimes we'd say if you can't get like the best front row, you almost punt the position. Do you think that happens faster now, or do you still think that now the front row now with having so many games is more like of a puntable position?
I don't know. Like I think it'll be interesting. Like it'll be really interesting. One, Ryan, good luck figuring this one out. But like I don't know how this is gonna look. But like however it does look, I think what I know for sure is we're gonna be having to rely on a deeper depth of pool of players.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that looks like, but the fact that you might not even need to punt a position because there's gonna be streamers available. And there's going to be streamers in the waiver wire. Yeah. And that's kind of my initial thought, that there's going to be guys there that even if you don't get a guy or, you don't get a guy in the draft that you really like, I think there's going to be guys that are going to emerge.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. I think Waiver is going to be huge as a result of this.
Waivers are,
I
yeah.
think the idea and notion, Matt, that you touched on about drafting handcuffs, I think that gets heightened. I think that
It
is,
depends on the position
it
too.
does depend on the
Like,
position, but I think it is going to skew people's decision making, right? Like if I draft Richard Judd in the third round and then Tupai is sitting there for me, come around on the
yeah.
other side, like I think in other
And
years you might think, maybe I got Judd. I'm gonna pass on that
Yeah.
because but that might
And I'm
just
gonna
be
take a yeah, I'm gonna take a look at this, but I don't know if you're really trying to dive deep into the weeds here. Is that remember like our league or this league MLR has a lot of NPC routes. A lot of these coaches already have experience with these doubleheader
Mhm.
games. Just take a look at what they're doing. Like who's starting back to back? Who's starting on the Wednesday? Who's starting on the Sunday? Do they have the same nines? Do they have the same tens?
Yeah.
What positions are they often frequently switching out? They're going to have the similar behavior that they did and rely on that experience that they've had there because that's what they know. They're used to this
Yeah.
stuff.
So should see a lot of squad rotation. Now, the thing is, as we move on to the next piece here, what I'll finish off with is that we don't see our first midweek game until round 11. So
Oof.
we do have some time until then.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to really hit like a brick wall. That first one is going to be Rugby Los Angeles,
Uh,
who comes off of a bye week in round 10, has a quick turnaround, plays on a Tuesday, and then plays that very same Saturday.
see,
The following week, San Diego in round 12 plays on Wednesday and then has a quick turnaround that Sunday. So,
that throws like another wrench into it because now you're like, all right, can I hold a handcuff for 11
yeah,
rounds? 11 rounds, you know whether you're in or out of the playoffs at that
it's
point
true.
for most fantasy teams. And
True.
you're like, can I hold this handcuff who's playing 60 minutes
But what
because they're not doing double headers until round 11?
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is do we see earlier squad rotation, right? Like you're not going to wait until round 11 to rely on guys to just hop in there and have play important minutes, right? Like we're going to
Yeah.
see, I think, more of guys earlier on, even if they don't have those quick turnaround weeks. But I mean, that's just my assumption. We'll see. We'll see. But
We'll
it's
see.
right. It's not until round 11 till we see that. The weirdest one is probably NOLA playing on a Friday and then playing the following Tuesday. So
Yeah, that's messed up.
it's a weird one there. It's a weird one there. So again, from the fantasy side of things, I think
It's Tuesday
from
night.
strategically, we are going to see some interesting things and its effect on fantasy. From a commissioning standpoint, believe me, I've had some sleepless nights trying to figure this out. We are closing in on a resolution to how we'll approach this because it really followed the football format, Vandy, right? Like waivers on the same day. You
Yeah.
have Thursday game, you have a Sunday game, you have a Monday game. But here with these kind of sporadic games that are on every single day, surprisingly, except for I think Monday and Thursday are the only days that don't. I know we even have a Monday game. Really Thursday is the only day that there isn't a match. It's definitely causing me a headache. But we are closing in on a announcement and a resolution to how we will approach that this year, and we will be sure to give that message to all of our fantasy managers out there so they can prepare and adjust accordingly. All right, a last thing here before we head into kind of a overlook of the entire league. Just want to give a shout out to Danny Christensen. Is hanging up the boots. Scrum half for San Diego. Scrum half in this league for quite some time. Is
Yeah.
calling it a career, and he's leaving the season and ending his career here. Last being
Congrats, buddy. Great career, great hair. I wasn't always kind to you on this podcast, but you go out with a bang, buddy.
Yeah, Dallas Jackals
They
in
always do.
2023 scored 28.9 fantasy points then, and then in 2024 with the San Diego Legion 16.7, again taking kind of that back seat to Connor Tupai. But nonetheless, congratulations, Danny Christensen. All right, let's you ready to kind of break down what people need to be expecting here in 2025?
Yeah, it's getting cold. We got to warm up.
Yeah.
Preseason warm-up.
You love it, Maddie, huh? You like it. You like calling on these, huh? You like calling on these drops?
It's just good to be back. It's just good to be back.
All right. Well, it is time to get warmed up here for the 2025 fantasy MLR season. I mean, where do we even begin?
Not with the anthem.
Not with the anthem. We already kind of went on.
Can we start with NOLA?
Yes, we can start with NOLA.
No, look,
We'll
no,
start.
look.
We'll start on
Let's.
the.
I mean, let's start with the bad. Let's start with the bad.
Okay, hold on, Matt. I know you're excited about this
You
NOLA
don't get
team.
to
You've always
dictate
been
the
excited
show.
about this NOLA team.
I'm
I
excited.
just want to give a quick recap to everyone out there, kind of the lay of the land of how we got to where we are today. All right,
Sure,
so
lay the land.
Oh,
Till
we
it,
finish
mill it.
we finish
give it to
off
me.
the 2024 season. The New England
Yes.
Free Jacks are crowned
Sure.
your 2024 MLR
Back to
champions,
back.
back-to-back
Back to
champions.
back.
We had an exciting end to the year, which was a great match between San Diego and the Seattle Seawolves. And then we had a
Yes.
quiet offseason for
Right.
quite some time. And then the news dropped
Wait.
that the Dallas Jackals would not be a part of the 2025 season. There were rumblings. It finally came to fruition. I have my Dallas Jackals scarf here with me. I don't know if I'm the one that cursed them, but lo and
No,
behold, the
well.
team that I finally chose to be a possible fan of ended up calling it quits. So I am now again teamless, which in this episode I may be announcing my brand new team.
I don't think
in
the
this
teams
one.
want that. I don't think teams want that.
You're like Drake when a team bets on.
Yeah,
him.
no
Yeah,
kidding.
I don't
Bets
think
on a
teams.
team.
I don't think teams
All right,
want.
well,
yeah.
I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see on this team that I name in this episode that is going to be the one that I'll be cheering
Ooh.
for this year. Dallas Jackals fold. The dispersal draft happens and has some notable
Yes.
names on the move. We have guys like Sam Gala. We have guys like Yero Gomez Vara. We have guys
Yep.
like Sam
Yep.
Tuifua.
Yep.
All these guys that are now available on the market for free agent pickup were drafted through the dispersal draft. We had a little bit of a lull waiting for some of these signings to happen. And then,
Yes.
oh my goodness, we were hit like a brick wall with a whole bunch of signings, and it continued to happen from there and then on. So, with that being said, let's get into some of these new faces on these new teams and even maybe some of the returning names and
And-
see how that makes us feel about these teams. So, Matthew wanted to start with NOLA.
Well, right. Let's also remind the viewers and the listeners that in our last, not our last episode, but the 2 episodes before that, we did go through a nice, comprehensive, in-depth
Yes. So we did
of where the rosters were.
We
at.
did a Western Conference breakdown in 2 episodes ago, an Eastern Conference breakdown last episode. So go check that out where we dive deep into each and every player and each of the new signings. This is more of an overarching view and perspective on, with all those signings in mind, how do we feel about these teams? So let's start with the NOLA Gold here, like Matthew wanted to start. They've
Yes.
announced a whole bunch of signings here heading into this year. Some guys that are big time. We have guys like Villamoni Karoy coming in, Xavier Mignon
Yes.
coming in, Kayla McEnany from the Utah Warriors coming
Nice.
in. Ruben DeHaas was recently announced here as a scrum half possibility there. That makes their scrum half room a little bit busy. The returns of JP Duplessis. Jordan Jackson Hope, unfortunately, announcing that he will not be a part of the 2025 year due to injury. He was obviously a big fantasy asset for managers. Matthew, you were always high on Jordan Jackson Hope, so he won't be part of the team. But knowing that, and I can't forget the addition of Big Joe Tofede joining the team here, which is going to be huge. Thoughts on the NOLA Gold? I mean, I think a month ago you may have been a little bit worried, but after the signings that have come in here over the course of the past few weeks, this team is building out after they've released a lot of players and they look brand new. Ed Fido returning too.
Yeah, I think last 3 episodes ago, we had the questions of like, is Fido returning? I said, yeah, he was making YouTube videos in NOLA. He's definitely returning. But you look at just to speak on the Jordan Jackson Hope, like, yes, that guy is an absolute stud, has been for the past 2 seasons in the MLR. But they bring in such good depth here. Like at that center position alone, they bring in Isaac Tatamaki, they bring in Nikolai Foliaki, they keep JP Duplessis. Like these guys, whatever they've done to get players in, they've brought in some quality guys and a lot of quality guys coming out of New Zealand and that Pacific Islands, like, and in France. Like some guys that I'm really looking forward to Tamaki, Villamoni Koroy, that guy looks sweet for the Highlanders. Xavier Mignot in the back 3 as well. Like their back 3 is going to be absolutely filthy. Like we talk about some of the other teams, their back 3 is going to be absolutely filthy.
And that's where Vandy's note comes in about this depth. I mean, you started with it, Matt, that back three. Like, where does the value go, right? Because obviously you like the name Villamoni Karoy, you like Ed Fido, right? Xavier Mignon, top 14 experience. Caleb McEnany, a guy that's a meter
Yeah.
eater.
And he knows him.
You can only start three. So, like, what's the approach here? What is the thought here? Are we going to see a continuous rotation? Because you know, that's probably the way they're going to go. But in your eyes, what is your prediction at the starting back three here? And does that hurt or increase the value of some of these guys because of the electricity that is in the high level talent here?
Give
Yeah, I
me give
mean,
me McEnany because that's the
yeah,
next Philemone. I'm
yeah. I was
telling you
gonna
right
say
now,
like,
he's gonna step in there, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he couldn't just hit that next level with Utah, but the way that NOLA plays, they really use that back line. They get aggressive with it. They scored so many tries last year. So I don't know. I think McEnany's gonna look sick at 15 for him.
yeah, it's hard not to agree. Like, it's hard. You look at some of those players, like you look at McNey, what he's done alone in the MLR over
Mm-hmm.
his career. You can't look at him and be like he's not going to start.
Hmm.
I think you look at him. I think you look at Ed Fido, and then you're looking at that last winger position of like, all right, who fills this? Like
Yeah.
Koroy, I think has had experience at fullback. Like Xavier Mignon, I think is a winger mainly, but Cooper Coates is a fullback. Like you really look at those three guys, and you're like, I'm like, what do you do here? Like,
Yeah.
Hot take, Ed Fido, injury history. Maybe they're not relying on
yeah,
him being
Yeah, that's
available
fair.
for the entire, 17-week season.
Yeah.
I think it ends up being a back three of McEnany, Mignon, and Karoy,
yeah,
Yes.
potentially,
right? I
Roberts
mean,
looked good
potentially.
in the couple games that he
yeah,
started and
it
everything.
concerns me. I mean, Fido's value already dropped. Obviously, he was like a top three pick, 2 years ago because of how electric he was for New York. But like,
Yeah,
obviously, not hitting that standard for managers this past season. A second
No,
round pick for a lot of people. I think this will probably hurt his value a little bit. Just a couple
yeah.
yeah,
more
that's
probably
fair.
storylines for the NOLA Gold. Scrum half room. This is another log jam room. You got Ruben Haas, Luke
Yeah,
Campbell.
well, he just recently announced
Yeah.
in between our last episode and now.
So
By the way, I played Ruben DeHaas
yeah.
back in the day, and there's one time where like I'll never get this picture out of my head. He was at the back of a mall ready to box kick, and I was standing about 3 meters offside, just standing right in front of him. And he knew that. So he kicked it. And I got up and I just blocked it. And he's just yelling at the ref, like, oh, he's offside. He's offside. And I just remember laughing because it didn't get called. The ref didn't call it at all. And I just remember laughing, looking back at him, like, sorry,
What
buddy,
what
got
Yeah,
away
what
with
no, he wants
cheating.
to eat
what
your
what game was
face.
what game was this?
I was like U17, San Diego, something like that. I don't know. It was
That's
something
actually
like way back.
hilarious.
But he's obviously skyrocket, getting on playing for the Cheetahs, getting on loan
Yeah.
now for NOLA, playing for the
So
US.
what do you think? Luke Campbell still
So
starts there?
yeah, I mean, look, he's Ruben DeHaas is the he's the domestic guy at 9. So like, and he's quality too, right? Like, I don't think personally, like Luke Campbell, Damian Stevens, Ruben DeHaas, I don't see a guy who kind of shines
Emerges.
above the rest. We've seen Luke Campbell for 2 years now.
Yep.
He had a good first year last year. He didn't look so great. He had flashes.
Yep.
I think Ruben DeHaas, they're going to really use this time to kind of, hey, we need a domestic spot here. We need to start more international guys. You look at how many international guys they have across the roster. This is a great position to have that international or have a domestic one between Ruben DeHaas and Luke Hardy, Ruben DeHaas and Reese Botha. Development for the Eagles. Like, this is kind of the perfect situation here. I think Ruben DeHaas is going to end up being the starter here. I also think that you wouldn't come from the Cheetahs unless you knew that you were going to get some significant playing
Reading
time.
between the lines. That's why we have you on the
And
show,
so,
Maddie.
yeah, like I can't see why you would decide to move away from an opportunity where he already isn't getting that much playing time for the Cheetahs, and why he would come here to do the exact same.
Does it feel like a situation, and Vandy, you're very familiar with this, where, 10 years ago in the world of fantasy football, the bell cow running back was the thing to own. And if you had that,
Yep.
that was, and there was almost no shortage of that. Like every team had almost that bell cow. And now it's really transitioned to these committee things and just trying to find the guys that are the most efficient. Is that what we're seeing at the scrum half now? I mean, it feels like every single team is racking up on two solid nines that could both be
Yeah.
starters in this league. And who knows? Maybe they don't get the start, but they might still be solid even coming off of the bench because you know that they're going to get at least 20, 25 minutes.
Well, I think that's perfect, perfect example of it. And why did that happen? Because you mixed in, you mixed in Thursday nights and you mixed in more
Hmm.
football. There's more weeks of football now. So you mix in these awkward weeks, you maybe mix in more games. That's what you see. I mean, it's inevitable. It's a physical sport. It's brutal. And you know what? I think it's one of those things. You kind of get a doomer kind of feel about it, but
Yeah.
as soon as that kind of giant first initial tidal wave kind of smashes the beach, then you know what you're in for. And
Yeah.
I think this year, regardless of how well we do with it, it's going to be kind of tough because it's a brand new demon. But I think it's kind of inevitable with the way rugby is.
Hmm.
It's such a physically brutal sport that I think this was the inevitable, and it's just how
Yeah.
we kind of combat it.
All right. And then,
Yeah, for sure. And right, the last thing I just want to say with this NOLA Gold team, not with the Nines, but last thing with this NOLA Gold team, unless you had something else, is that big guy to watch that I'm looking for a big season. I don't think we have him on here, but Kelly and Galatier, the big signing from France, the one that they did the big video for back one of their like initial signings before all their bulk signings. I'm really looking forward to him. I'm really hoping Jonah Mo's back. I think that back row is going to be absolutely ridiculous, and I'm pretty bullish on this NOLA Gold team.
yeah, I've heard that before.
You've heard that
I've
before,
heard that
but
before.
hey, I don't think I've seen this. I don't think
It's
I've
true.
seen.
It's
I don't
true.
think I've seen this type of quality, let alone across the MLR. But in the one team, I don't think I've seen this type of commitment from the NOLA Gold yet.
Yeah, it's true. From off season that started releasing a whole bunch of guys, including the likes of the departure of Rodney Iona. We haven't heard an official announcement from Jonah Mo returning, but you add in Tupo Maafu Afungia, you add him with Galatier. Hopefully Jonah Mo's back. Yeah, that is a back row room. Last thing here, Maddie. Quick thought. Is the fly half room the weak point here? I mentioned it. Rodney Iona leaves. You have Cardi now, Botha, and Jones. Is that the biggest concern with this NOLA Gold team?
Yeah, I mean, weak room, but I just think he just doesn't. You don't need to expect too much.
Mm.
I think I said this last year a lot. Like whether it's Luke Hardy, whether it's Reese Botha, be a distributor. Look at the guys around you, let them play, and that's all you have to do.
All right. Well, again, I think we spend a lot of time on the NOLA Gold team because they are one of the more exciting teams that have made a lot of
Yeah.
acquisitions in this one. Ahead of this season, they look like a completely different team. And I think there is a lot of hype around the Gold heading into this year with some of those fresh names that are coming in, and kind of a new look NOLA Gold team that we see into 2025. Kind of on the stark contrast to that, we move on to the Old Glory DC team, who has really not changed anything outside of the addition of center Stephen Hughes, trading for Jason Emery. At least from the team, at least from the guys that have been confirmed, it is your same Old Glory DC team coming back. Jason Robertson is going to be at the fly half. Axel Muller, Damian Hoyland is going to be your marquee guys in that back three. Jamison, Fa, Nana Schultz is back. Lataro Bavaro, Corey Daniel, Colin Gross is back. And your front row largely remains the same. Same with the second row. Does this concern you? I think Old Glory DC, I think for us on this show and through the time we've been following the Major League Rugby seasons deeply, has been just meh. They've never kind of done anything fantastic. They've never been necessarily terrible, but they've never been electric for us. It looks like they're coming in with the same team. Does that worry you at all with the changes that other teams are making, that make them look really good and flashy?
Yeah,
Mm.
I would be. I mean, I would be. I would have been less concerned maybe a month ago if I knew that this is their lineup.
Hmm.
Uh, Now that I see what some teams like NOLA Gold, like RFCLA are doing, or Rugby LA, whatever the heck they're called, uh, now you start getting a little bit concerned. I mean, it hasn't worked with what they had,
Hmm.
and the other teams have only gotten better, and now you're asking it to work the exact same.
Louis stuck his tongue out at you guys, by the way.
Yeah, that's how
That's
we
what
feel
that's
about
what he thought
that's how we
about.
feel about Old Glory.
Yeah, hey now, you're gonna get me roasted.
Um,
But yeah, I think it's just like I don't know what you expect here. You bring in the same guys. You think that it's going to work. You've had close games against back-to-back champs for sure. Great, good job. You still lost. So like, what's the big deal? Like you won one and you lost the other. So I don't know. I think other teams are getting better. I also think some other teams are getting worse. But like, yeah, there's not much to talk
Again,
about.
it's a
Honestly,
team
with
that
this Oakland
finished
DC.
7-7-2 in 2024.
And the worst part about it is they're going to make the playoffs because of stupid playoff
Right,
format. So,
right,
like,
Yeah.
you think that's a good season? Great job. You finished under 500 and you still made the
right,
playoffs. Way to go.
right. And
Hey,
I
is
guess
Greg Boud still there?
Graydon Bowd
Any
is
word on
has
him?
not heard anything about
Oh,
Graydon
I might be
Bowd
getting
yet.
my boy back.
Might be getting Jason Robertson back, huh? He'll be good from the boot, that's for
Be
sure.
good for me.
No
Well, they
question
got
about that.
Emery
Like those
too,
two.
though.
But I think Robertson will be doing the kick. I mean, Emery's kind of like, I
Yeah.
don't know. We'll see there. I don't know if he'll be a marquee guy in that lineup necessarily.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Old Glory DC. Again, just nothing special as of yet. Of this episode, kind of on a
I will
contrast.
say,
On a
yeah,
contrast to that,
yeah, yeah.
let's move to the New England Free Jacks because when it
Well,
ain't broke, don't
Don't
fix it,
fix it.
right?
Yeah.
And for the Old Glory DC side, right, there's never been a season where they've been successful. So you expect change from them. You expect additions from them. For New
mhm.
England's argument, they've won it back to back. There is no reason for them to change.
Yeah.
A lot of the main pieces are coming back. We have the return of Wayne Vanderbank, Ben Lesage, LaRue Milan, Jason Putros. We do have a big departure that we'll talk about here as well. But you bring back that big core and you add some additional pieces that are pretty solid. Nothing mind-blowing, but things that do make your team look better. Guys like Yero Gomez Vara through the dispersal draft. Connell McElnerney, or McElnemy,
Wow.
and
Wow.
Sam Caird. These are guys that are going to be adding that robustness to the New England Free Jacks. I think context is everything, and I think Old Glory DC's additions or lack thereof versus New England's lack thereof additions and the returning of the same, that's where it really reflects it. Context is everything for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think like you feel much better with New England Free Jacks staying the same. Obviously, they're back-to-back champs. Like why?
Yeah.
Like Vandy, like if the Chiefs decided to keep the exact same roster going into next season, like you wouldn't you would
Basically
probably be
did.
like, hey, like we could have got more, but you wouldn't be pissed. Like you went 13-1. Like
Mhm.
it is what it is, whatever. You got 15-1. But
Yeah,
like
you kind of got to just keep kicking the can until it doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore.
exactly. But here's my issue here is that we think about the New England Free Jacks and Vandy. I mean, when you think about the New England Free Jacks last season, who was the spark?
And
Reese
that's
McDonald.
the big one, Reese McDonald.
Reese Lightning.
And you look at the back three now, and it's
And
like,
you know what? Wayne played great at center, but you're right.
Yeah.
There was a spark to that team. There's no doubt about it. Reese McDonald changes that lineup 100%.
yeah. And it's not even just Reese McDonald. Like you look at the back three room that they have now,
Yep.
and it's, Josiah Mora, Brock Webster. Yeah, great guys. Not Reese McDonald. Isaac Olson, Killian Coughlin, Bala Balakena, not the same as what he was a few years ago. Maybe we see that change. And Simon Peter Toliafoa, like that isn't the same back three that you're kind of worried about in the
Mhm.
previous years.
It's true.
You had Daniel Morgan Pudarong, you had Reese McDonald,
Mitch
you
Wilson.
had these guys. Yeah, Mitch Wilson, exactly. And now you're looking at it, you're like, man, I'm not
That's true.
that worried about it. That center room is
Yeah.
scary. That center room's absolutely
Mhm.
terrifying. And that back row room is terrifying, and that front row, even like you're
Well,
looking
you know
good,
what?
but
There's so much to be said about stars, but really, when you watch a ton of any sport, it's your depth guys. It's the guys that aren't the big names that make the plays. And I think, yeah, like you said, as deep as they are and as good as they are, yeah, that could be kind of what bites them.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
and the only thing, and this is all against just reference of like, you look at the team that New England Free Jacks has kept, and then you look at the way that some of these other teams around the
Build
league
themselves.
have just absolutely stacked themselves up.
Mhm.
I agree. All right.
But they're still the New England Free Jacks, and
They're
they're still in the
the Free
Eastern
Jacks, and
Conference.
they're still
Yeah.
going to be dope.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, Reese McDonald, we'll get into it more when we talk about Rugby LA, but that it will be a big loss for the New England Free Jacks, no doubt. But again, Kind of how we started the conversation. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we've yet to see the New England Free Jacks falter when it comes to these core group of guys. I mean, that back row room, man, it's a scary back
Back
row
row
room.
and the
And the
center room's
center room
stupid. The center room's
looking
actually
crazy.
dumb.
All right, let's go on over now to the Chicago Hounds. Still kind of waiting for more signings to be announced from this squad. They do have a lot of brand new names on this team. Some key departures: Luke Carty, Billy Meeks, we talked about. Nick McCarthy isn't back with the team. But then they bring in a bunch of guys that do have some pretty reputable experience. And that includes Mitch Short coming in to replace Nick McCarthy, Tim Sweel coming in that fly half position. They now have their kind of marquee 10 coming in. Bryce Campbell stays. You partner that up with possibly Ollie Devoto. I think my overarching opinion, at least with this team right now, is I think it's a wait and see approach to see what else comes in. But I
Yeah.
am lower on this team than how I was at the start of
last year.
2024.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
well, you
just
can't get much higher than how high you were on this team
that's
in
a fair enough, fair
2023.
enough, fair enough. But it does feel like though this team is missing pieces
Hey,
still.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
but
fair.
it's hard though. Like I can't even speak to this team yet. Like they're not as built out as NOLA or the likes of New
Hmm.
England Free Jacks or the other teams that we talked about. We're just like you said, Rye, wait and see. The one point that I'll say is I think they improved immensely at the one position that they struggled at
It's true.
last year, and that's at the fly half position.
Tim
So
Sweel should be a monster. I mean, he's going to get some crazy kicking points this year.
I'm just looking. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see them with a 10 that they can work off of. And I think that'll really, even though the losses that they had, I think that'll really improve the team.
All right. Let's go on to the Miami Sharks now. I mean, talk about Argentinian influence or South American influence because this is a team that is going to
Jeez,
be bringing in all of that. They keep
jeez.
the guys largely that are kind of your key marquee names with this team. Thomas Kubeli, the team captain, is coming back. Santiago Videla, who was there
Very good.
last year, doing a lot of good things for them. Matthias Orlando, Giuseppe Dutoit, some of the young guys like Rick Rose. Sean
Jose.
McNulty is coming back, Kirby Myhill. But then they add a whole bunch of guys because we knew the Dallas Jackals had some South Americans on their team. So they say, hey, you know what? Let's use the dispersal draft to bolster even more South Americans. So they add Martin Elias, Thomas Kubia, and Thomas Milanos. They also
Woo,
add Ronan Foley, Marcus
woo.
Folao, and Thomas Beckerman through them.
Yeah, those
So,
guys. Well, two or three of those guys are definitely not South American.
well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I started. Yeah, I don't think Ronan Foley. Ronan
You don't think? You don't
Foley!
think?
Ronan Foley. No, okay, I'm kidding. Anyways,
Hilarious.
Kubia, Milanos, and Elias, and then you add in a couple other guys: Federico Gutierrez, Mauro Rubisoni. Hopefully I'm saying those right. Marcos Elisagare.
Sure.
Wow,
Um,
I don't know what names can you say right now.
I don't know.
Good for you. You're doing a better job than me.
Ronan Foley. Is the
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm
there we
trying to
go.
say.
Ricky
But
Rose.
thought on this team though.
I mean, it's so hard. Like this team looks so similar.
But not.
It feels similar, but it's not. A couple guys that I'm really excited though, like Kubia. I think he always shined every time he played. Like you look at his every time he got a start with
Mhm.
the Dallas Jackals, I think he went off. Milanos, like these Dallas Jackals guys, I'm really looking forward to see them play on this Miami team. Um, yeah, I mean, those are like, but you look at a lot of the other guys, like the mainstays, like you look at Benji Bonasso, you look like Thomas Caceres. I'm looking forward to see Ronan Foley kind of into the mix here, but um,
Now,
yeah, it's your point. Like it feels the same, but it's not.
don't you think though you'd like to see some retention there? Like, seeing, no Nick Gregg in the lineup yet, Felipe Echeverry, guys last year that were actually,
Yeah,
pretty
you're right.
pretty good
You're right.
dudes to have in
Echeverry, yeah.
fantasy. For a Miami
Y-
team that was, not really winning games, those guys were legitimate,
Yeah,
I
spot
think
holders in your fantasy
that's a good
team.
point.
I think
That's a
So you
good
don't
point.
bring back two of your three best from last year.
I
It's
think
tough.
that goes to talk
Or
about
Ardeo,
I think
Manuel Ardeo.
I think that goes to talk
Yeah, true.
about the confidence, at least from Echeverry's standpoint of thing, the confidence in Santiago Videla. Videla really
Fair.
took over that 10 position, I think, right? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
but
towards
I
the tail
feel
end of the
like
Yeah.
year.
sometimes you get too cute with it, man. I feel like sometimes you just need retention in your lineups. You
Yeah.
need your big boys to stick around. They were your guys. You know, it's easy to sit there on paper and go, okay, this guy did this, perfect. We'll interchange this, and that's kind of what makes a GM good and bad.
Yeah. I mean,
Is
the one argument I'll have with that is that this was a team that was 6-10, right?
Yep,
So
but not bad for being new to that league.
and that's true. You do want to see time. So there's like kind of like a two-way argument there. Is like, do you want to see the retention there to what you're saying, Vandy, so that you can allow this team to grow and build that
Exactly. That's not a
foundation?
bad season. I mean,
Exactly.
shit, Utah went 5-11.
Right.
And we blew it up. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I can live with that.
Yeah.
But it's like they didn't have that bad of a season to
Right.
sit there and go, there's
Again,
a lot of work we could have done.
big thing, context, right?
Well-
Similar to the New England Free Jacks and Old Glory DC conversation, different between the Utah Warriors situation, the Miami Sharks situation, almost same record, different context. Utah has been around for a long time, Miami hasn't, right? What are you going to do with that?
And I will say, like, you feel pretty good, a lot better. The fact that you brought in Elias, you brought in Kubia, you brought in Milanos.
Sure.
Not the same guys, but you feel a little better. You're replacing it with known quality in this league.
Yeah, that's fair.
Absolutely. So I guess we'll see. But then again, yeah. So Eastern Conference here, again.
Didn't you miss a team?
No, New England, NOLA, Chicago, Old Glory, DC, Miami. And then the team that we're not going to talk about because we don't know anyone.
Now, do
you want to talk about that, Maddie? You went on a 10.
Wait.
No, I don't want to talk about that more. I will say,
Do you think
no,
I
actually think that they won't post it. I have a feeling that they're not even going
But
to
do
post
you think
it.
it's just because some of these teams are just so gassed up about what they got now? They're looking at that lineup like, damn, I can't wait to show you who we got on our squad. And then some teams
Maybe.
like, yo, we
I mean,
got a
I
roster
think-
this. We're going to get
I don't know, but
It's going to be a good team,
I mean,
right? Like
it's going to be solid. Like if you want a little, I think
again,
like,
we're talking about
if you want
Anthem
a little,
RC.
if you want a little peek into what it could be or what it may be rumored to be or what Brian Ray essentially knows, like we'll plug his website, America Rugby News. Just take a look at some of the roster there. He has some guys on there, but again, we're not going to put anything until it's official. We're going to put anything. So apparently this team's going to play with like 4 players and they're going to stink and they're going to still not going to win.
According to the fantasy Ruckers.
Yeah. According to the fancy Ruckers insider.
Yeah.
But last thing I'll say on them, I'm going to say like 2 wins this year.
I think they'll definitely get their first win. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift on over now to the Western Conference. Let's work our way top down, and we'll save, I guess, the best for last. Yeah, we'll save the best for last. Houston Sabercats, again, a stellar season, one where they finished 14-2. We know the type we know the type of game style this team plays. Another team that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's bring back a whole bunch of other guys, and then let's kind of bolster it up with some marquee guys. So again, we have the names like Davy Kutzer, AJ Alatimu, Talatasi Tasi, Dom McKenna, Drew Wild, Andre Warner. But then they bolster that up with guys, Ronan Murphy. And now you add in a back row room, Sam Tuifua, a guy that was fantasy monster this year. Juan D. Oliver, which was a starting 9 for the Dallas Jackals, worthy of pairing that with Andre Warner. And you got Yavon Camp Villalavos to match with Nathan Den Hote now in the second row. I mean, it's a team that you know what they're going to do. Right. And the idea of a Sam Tuifua, Ronan Murphy, and then insert name here back row in a team that emphasizes the forward play. This team should be good once again, right?
Yeah. I think, I don't have much to say here. I will say guys that I'm really looking out for. One, Seth Smith. I talked about him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can have a breakout year this year, especially when it comes to fantasy. And if he's going to get more playing time with all the back-to-back games, I would look for Sam Tuifua.
Fan of the show, Seth Smith. He has
hey, let's go.
Come on now.
I will say, I think Sam Tuifua is going to drop off.
Okay.
Ooh.
Just with the play style. I've talked about this in the past. I just think with the play style and fantasy wise, I mean, one, I think you're going to look at a huge year from Tuolatasi Tasi. Like that guy just turned it on once he started playing. I think he's going to be a big part of their offense. And yeah, that scrum half room, man. Like I don't know what to make of it. I know we're talking about back-to-backs, but I really am struggling to figure out who the heck
Now
who the heck you'd pick.
for fly half, you thinking AJ on the boot?
I think they got it. Yeah, I think they got to do similar to what they did last year, right?
Yeah.
Like AJ on the boot, AJ
Like
at 10,
Kotzer at
David
15.
Kutzer at 15.
Kutzer, we haven't listed that fly half, but yeah, Kutzer will be playing the way that back three has been shaping up. Davy Kutzer's gonna, and they looked better when he was at 15 too.
Yeah.
Oh, he looked incredible.
Yeah. So we should see again another strong team returning with a lot of guys that they've had before, adding some key additions to keep match up. Kind of our Western Conference's version of the Chicago Hounds, where we don't really know much, especially when it comes to returning players, is surprisingly the Seattle Seawolves.
This is dumb.
This is dumb. We really don't know anything. They posted a video.
Yeah. They posted a video of training camp interviewing Riker Hatting. Just say he's back.
Yeah.
Is it that hard? Like, is that your announcement? Like, you interviewed him with the coach, and now
should we put it down on our doc, Maddie?
We might as well put it down. He's at training camp. He's literally training, doing interviews with their social media team. So like, yeah, I guess Riker Hatting's back. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Well, kind of weird. I wouldn't expect, like, Seattle Seawolves is usually the one that is really on top of their game when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. So again, wait and see approach with this team. We'll touch more on it as more signings become official, or more re-signings, I should say, in this case. Based on the guys that they've added, if they come back with a big portion of the guys that they had last year, even with some departures, this should be a pretty solid team. I mean, you're adding Devald Kotza into the mix, even though kind of replacing the loss of Big Joe. Brock Gallagher comes in. Rodney Iona is now in that fly half position. And Maddie, you've been on it before, where you have a thought that
Eddie Fouché
too. Eddie Fouché. That Mac Mason is probably, it feels like, won't be back with the squad again this year. But again, that's not anything confirmed. But based on those signings, it does feel like we have a new 10 that will be leading this Seawolves pack.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say with this one is that when we talked to Brock Gallagher, I think they brought him in because they want to kind of rest JP Smith a bit more, and be able to, because JP Smith, I think, played every minute. But you look at the 9 rooms across the league, and you look at this one here, JP Smith and Brock Gallagher, fantastic duo. But JP Smith, that feels like a pretty good, like, number 1 scrum half, just based on opportunity. Ryan, I know you love that word.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, let's now move on to the San Diego Legion. This is a team that kind of has a mix of everything. They come back with some solid guys. McClutchy, a big name that's back. Awake, Ryan James, Marcel Brocky. But then they add a whole bunch of guys. Nick Yost, Tavit Lopetti is now in that room to match with Tian Lutz and Ethan Grayson. Stefan Krimp comes in from Anthem. That scrum half room of Richard Judd and Connor Tupai, the return of the Judd. And yes, the right now that has our most favorite name in the entire MLR right now, that we all might just draft him for, Licky Chantong, there, who has that hooker eligibility. He adds in the room. Lost Mikey Teo, lose Josh Henderson, Danny Christensen. Obviously, we talked about his retirement.
Afongia, they lost, but
I mean, solid team. I'm not too sure what the ceiling of this team is. The Tavit Lopetti signing has me excited. Richard Judd has me excited.
Jed Holloway.
Like, what are we going to see here, Maddie?
Middle of the pack.
Ooh.
Middle of the pack, I think. Yeah, you take a look at this team. You're right, right? Like, you look at a lot of the returning guys and you think, you know, they did okay last year. I think we talked a lot about the fact that their offense was just missing and not like Richard Judd a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they did okay. They bring in some guys. I'm like not super excited about the guys, the team in general. I feel very just middle of the pack with this team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do like, you know, I did say Jed Holloway. I do like him as a new signing a lot. And yeah, that center room is going to be really interesting. I don't think Tavit Lopetti would choose to sign with San Diego unless he knew that he was going to get a lot more opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But Ethan Grayson is coming off some quality starts
overseas
for Newcastle.
Yeah.
For Newcastle. So, and Tion Lutz is coming off of, I mean, he's a must start. Like, he has to be in there.
Yeah.
Like the season that he had last year, he's going to be in there, but it's a completely new center room. I mean, you think about the veterans that left, it's like
Mikey Teo
Nanu,
or Ma Nanu. Mikey Teo's
and you
gone.
think
Yeah.
about Mikey
Fullbacks.
Teo, and you think about Matt Gateau, who are all there. Like, you lose 3 veterans in some pretty important positions.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about these guys that are going to fill. There's going to be somebody who's going to be stepping up, and I'm excited to see who.
All right. Let's now talk about the Utah Warriors, Vandy. Your squad.
Big signing today, Frank Lahore.
Yeah. Big signing today.
He back.
Frank Lahore's back. Good to see that. And then you add that to the addition of signings. Again, it was a wave of concern when it came with this team because they had the mass exodus, is what we've been calling it on this show, in terms of who they departed with. They just decided they were going to put a Instagram post with every single player that they were essentially cutting.
It was like the morning after Wings night,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like, so this is the Black Monday for NFL, where they
Yeah.
fire all the coaches. It was like almost like that. But concern quickly shifted into a lot of optimism with what they were bringing in here. So you had the return of Paul Lasike, Spencer Jones. We talked with Emerson Pryor on this show here about his excitement going into this
Big
season.
man.
You have now the returning of Frank Lahore in there as well. And then you
got
add
Matt's favorite, Zion going.
Yeah, that's favorite. But then you add some pretty exciting pieces here. Logan Crowley comes in at your scrum half position. Gavin Thornbury, a big guy at the second row position. Liam Coltman at the hooker position. And then you match that with the additions of Nick Ben, Jordan Trainer. I mean, pretty solid. It concerns me that they haven't announced the fly half yet.
I think he's coming back.
Joel Hodgson coming back?
I think he's coming back.
I say nothing.
When you leave Utah, or when you get to Utah, you don't leave Utah, and I guess that's
oh yes, you do,
feel-
Ryan. Max Exodus, as you said 2 minutes ago.
You never leave Utah off your own choosing.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But anyways,
I think he's back.
I guess we'll start with
that.
Vandy. How do you feel as our in-house Utah guy?
Let's assume he's back, Vandy. I want to hear your thoughts.
Let's assume he's back. If he's
back.
back, you know what? He added so much veteran leadership to that locker room. You know what? That's why I love Paul Lasike. He's a difference maker when he's on the pitch. You know what? I'm optimistic. At 5-11 last year, it was time to blow it up. You know, I'm not mad about that, but it would be real nice to see Joel there.
Yeah, I think
you throw Hodgson there, I'm good. You know what? I'm good.
I think
you know what? Frank Lahore, big. You know,
Dylan Nell's back.
Big. Nick Ben.
Dylan Nell. That was huge.
Yeah, Dylan Nell. Yeah, just wait. Just wait till what he does this year. Just wait, boys.
I'm also very interested in this 9 room. Like, to me, Logan Crowley should be the start. I'll be honest, I haven't seen Logan Crowley play. I have seen Zion going, which is why I'm saying
Zion
Logan Crowley should be the start.
2 weeks. I'm saying it right now. Zion going will start the season.
I like the addition of D'Angelo Leuila. I think that's a big one too. Moana Pacifica.
I'm really excited to see Jordan Trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see how
I'm banking on him a lot.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see because he's very similar when you think of when he played for NOLA, so similar to Caleb McInerney.
Yeah.
Like, and you think about what Caleb McInerney was able to do with this offense, and you think about the Utah offense, and frankly, like Utah, this team is better than what that NOLA Gold team was then. I think I'm really excited to see how Jordan Trainer fares in fantasy world. Just with the meters gained, I think he's gonna have a good year.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. For me,
I hope. You know what?
To put it in a nutshell, I think there's going to be growing pains here, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Again,
don't take that from him, Vandy.
No, just watch.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Just wait. They'll make playoffs, Ryan.
I mean, that's everyone's making playoffs in this league. All right. And then last,
we still won't somehow.
Yeah. Last but not least,
this team's making playoffs.
And the official announcement of Ryan's team of 2025.
Oh my gosh.
The Rugby Los Angeles Bellends, Rugby LA.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna be out.
Do you know what?
You're
If
gonna be
they-
out
if
of
Poe-
the league
makes
in
sure.
1 year.
If
You ever
Poe
seen a
wasn't
guy-
on this team, this would be the worst bandwagoning ever.
No,
but you know what?
What are you talking about? They haven't even played
You
a
know
game
what,
yet.
Ryan?
They finished the worst in the Western Conference last year,
Hey,
and I'm all aboard.
okay.
You
Hey,
can't
buddy.
defend yourself after how fast you just got out in front of it.
Yep.
You were just immediately like, and my favorite team.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm
Right
getting,
off
I'm
the
getting in
top.
front of this immediately.
Right off the top.
It's like all the LeBron fans that just started cheering for the Lakers because LeBron's there. You know what I mean?
It's
Nah,
true.
we're all Kobe fans.
But
Either
hey,
way.
one thing to point out with this LA team, right? I mean, yeah, a lot of huge signings. I will say, because we talked about Reese McDonald with New England Free Jacks and his leaving, and he does sign with LA. He's not available, I believe, until March. He's still recovering from that shoulder surgery. So, fantasy managers, just keep that in mind. This is going to be kind of like what a LaRue Milan situation type thing.
Yeah, where you kind of wait in. But I mean, and then you look at that back three room. It's like, all right, Reese, take as much time as you want because we got Andrew Coe, Vogan Isaacs, Rory Van Vood, Christian Dyer. Take your time, Reese, because we have a back three room that we could probably. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then obviously the additions of Billy Meeks to Will Leonard and Seth Purdy, who are already there. I think the biggest signing on this team, outside of maybe Vogan Isaacs and Reese McDonald, I think Christian Leolofano is going to be a massive addition. A guy that has a lot of experience. What is it? What is it? 1,000 Super Rugby points, Maddie? I think it is. Like, is that what he has?
I don't know, but he played with the War. No.
I believe it was Pacifica, was it not? I thought.
Yes, he did play for Pacifica recently, but he made his big career with the Brumbies.
Brumbies.
Why would I not remember that? Yeah, so he's played like 11 years with the Brumbies. This guy was sweet for Australia, sweet for the Brumbies. A little bit about his story, Vandy. This guy gets leukemia. Forced to retire, retires, recovers from leukemia, comes back with a scrum cap on his head, and plays for Moana Pacifica. This guy's an absolute weapon. He's coming in for the MLR. This is great for the MLR to have a stud like him. Like, a lot of noise should be made about this signing. This is huge. And to have that at the 10 position for them, like, and they were another team that really kind of had that carousel and injuries at 10 last year. This guy's a stalwart. This guy's going to really plant his seed right in LA and make sure that
where do you put him as a fly half?
I might
finish.
I think he could finish as number one. Am I too high?
To me, Vanny, this is up with like the type of Joel Hodgson signing.
He's the seventh. He's the seventh player in the history of Super Rugby, which is arguably the best professional rugby league in the world, to hit 1,000 points.
We talking Joe Peterson numbers.
Yeah,
I had a real soft spot for that man.
The man, the myth, the legend, Big Joe Peterson.
I'm huge on this signing here. There was a lot of excitement with this LA team, with what was happening in their back three room. I think from the forward standpoint, there can still be some kind of maybe pause a little bit. Obviously, Semi Kunatani is coming back. You add Ben Houston and Ed Timpson. We'll see.
Right. This team is gonna maul. Billy Meeks at center too. Like, come on, bro.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I think this team. Like, you put Leo Lefano also with that type of backline.
Oh,
just let him work, man. Just let him work. Like, I'm really excited. One, I really hope Dyer breaks out again. Like, I want to see Dyer 2 years ago.
Weird year last year. He should have been. I don't know. It's just
I would love to see Dyer, Coe, and Vogan Isaacs for the start off the season. Just those three, like, just absolutely killing it
for Houston. No, wait, no
way.
No. So he would play either 13 or the wing. I always liked him better on the wing. And that's where he was good until Houston decided to just never pass the ball to the back.
So what, Himco wingers?
And then Vogan Isaacs probably 15? At 15. Yeah, probably. At least until Reese McDonald comes back. The last thing that I will say with this LA team for fantasy-wise, really like this 9 room in terms of you feel like you got a guy at start. Gonzalo Bertranu, I think he should be coming up. And once we get to our top fives, once all three of us start releasing our top fives, I think I think Gonzalo Bertrand has got to be up there.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. To wrap it up, this segment.
Who's winning the chip?
No, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Who's the team that's not going to make the playoffs?
Well, because okay, how many teams are
Utah.
not making playoffs? What is it?
3.
3?
No, I don't know. Yeah, 3.
Okay.
3.
Anthem.
Say it.
Yep.
Say it.
That's the one from the East.
Say it.
Old
Say their
Glory.
name.
Old Glory.
No, there's 2
No,
from
no,
East.
no, no. Chicago. Chicago.
Oh,
Anthem, Chicago, and Utah.
whoa.
Say the name. Say the
Really?
name.
I think that's what I'm going with.
No. Seattle not making it. Boom. Hot take. Let's go.
All right. Well, speaking of hot takes, wait, you guys say yours. I'm not going to be the only one on this record.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Let's go to the next
No,
part.
no.
Play
What
the
are you
trumpets.
talking about?
Play the trumpets.
So you
No,
want
we're
hot
not
take?
playing the trumpets yet. Before we get to
Legion's not making it.
Legion.
We beat the Legion
Ooh.
out. Yep. We
Okay.
get 7
So
wins.
same
Legion
thing.
gets 5.
Okay. Do you agree? Okay. Who's in the East then?
Anthem.
And
I mean, they don't have a lineup, so it's hard
okay,
to tell.
Anthem,
a team,
and
like it's either players.
one more.
Yeah, I think no OGDC.
Okay.
Yee.
What about you, Maddie? Same thing.
OGDC, Anthem, and then
Say it.
He loves to be the underdog. That's why.
Do
He
it.
wants the haters. He feeds off the friction.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go
Do it.
Houston.
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 Yeah. They're gonna have a complete 360 180
What?
and just stink.
All right. Our show just got a little bit less credible.
Yeah.
That being said, though, if that happens, we'll go back to this timestamp here, which
I'll
leads
repay
to
you your fantasy.
the final piece before we head into a Supreme Commissioner Yee's update, because I know this episode is running long. Talking about hot takes, we're gonna have our first book it bets of the year on this one right now. Speaking of rugby LA, and I'm changing it a little bit with the book it.
Guy stinks. He's so biased with his
We're
home
not
team.
even. I know I do this every year with the team that I love the most.
Yeah, you
right?
do.
I did this with Chicago.
Yeah. Power gets
So the way that these book it bets are going to work this year is basically it's going to be a book it bet amongst us 3. The person who comes up with the book it bets has to come up with a punishment, and the one that wins doesn't have to do that. So what I'm going to say
Wait, say that again. We do a book it bet a week.
No, it doesn't have to be a week. Whenever you want to come up with a book it bet, just say the punishment and it's going to happen. So what I'm saying here, you'll get it more after this. Christian Lealifano is the fly half one in 2025. Okay? If I'm right, if that happens, you two have to find the hottest hot sauce in your cupboard.
But what if I agree?
do-
Then what happens there?
And do a segment with the hot sauce. You'll have to do a triple D Devin's Degenerate Dambles with the hot sauce.
But what if I agree?
Do you agree? Okay, then you don't have to
No.
set.
I don't agree.
No, you don't agree. Okay.
Well, I'm just don't have an opinion right now.
All right. Do you want to do
I'm down. I'll do the hot sauce right now.
I'll do the punishment.
Okay.
I'll take the punishment.
All right.
So
So if Christian Lealifano at the end of the year is not the fly half one, I will do my hottest hot sauce in my cupboard and do a triple D Devin's Degenerate Dambles with
I
the
get to
hot
pick
sauce.
a hot sauce. You won't even have hot. You'll have like Taco Bell hot sauce in your cupboard.
What are you talking about?
No, Vandy, I'll go over there and I'll stock it up. Don't
That's
you
right.
worry.
That's
All
right.
right.
You know
All
what?
right. So the
The
hottest
bomb.
hot sauce we
You know
find,
what
we'll
I
do it
got?
on the show. All right. Anyways, that's the first book it bets of
We're
the
going
year.
to the trumpets, Vandy. I don't want to hear about your hot sauces.
This guy lost the betting bet thing. He should be taking hot sauce anyways.
That's true. We forgot about that. We have a short
I didn't
memory.
forget about
that.
nothing.
Was,
You're eating
that,
them
that
hot
was
sauce.
that was just a test
Play the
run.
trumpets.
That was just a test run.
Hey, by the way, we got Dambles coming up.
We do have Dambles coming up.
What? Hear ye, hear ye.
Not
Yeah.
today, not today, but we do have Dambles.
Not today, but we have Dambles
Hear
coming
ye,
up,
hear
Vandy.
ye. Here is Supreme
This guy stinks.
Commissioner Yee with a Fantasy Ruckers Leagues update.
Commissioner stinks.
It's Fantasy MLR time, people.
Uh,
And Supreme Commissioner is
Not
here to give the people the message. We brought out the
Ooh.
trumpets. I've called on my
Ooh.
commissioner.
WWE.
I've called on my commissioner minions.
sure.
They
What?
are all coming back to commission leagues. We're going to have more commissioners. We're going to have more leagues. We're going to have more participants. I'm excited for this 2025 year. So this is a call for action to all of the people who are listening to this podcast.
And not
anyone
listening.
who wants to participate in Fantasy Major League Rugby, this is your chance. Registration is now open for the 2025 Fantasy MLR year.
We're live.
There is a Google form that is released. You can find the link to that down below in the description. You can find that link in our Discord. We'll also post it on our socials. You'll want to fill out that form, regardless of whether you are a new member or not. You want to fill out that form, fill out all the information, and we will slot you in leagues. New additions this year. We have paid leagues this year, boys. Paid leagues. We're putting some money on the line. So there will be an option.
Can we win? Can I win money?
If you join a paid league. I mean, we give the money to charity in our league, but if you want to,
I'm a charity, bro.
Don't you care about people?
But there will be an option for you to select if you're interested in participating in a paid league, and we will match you up with other members who are willing to do that, and you'll be able to win some money here in the Fantasy MLR.
I'm going to relegate myself to one of these paid leagues.
It's not relegation, Vandy. Do not look down on these other guys.
I was a relegate. Well, we're the top league. We
are the top dogs, but hey, those people joining paid leagues, you better do your research because now money's on the line. And you know how you do your research. You listen to the whole trio right here, the three musketeers.
That's right.
The old Devin Vanderpool Vandy, the old Matt E, and this
Supreme Commissioner
up there in the top left.
Don't listen to me.
So keep a note out. Look out for that link. Sign up. Registration is open. Again, we had about 4 leagues plus our main league last year. So about, what is that? If I do the math correctly, a little over almost 50 people participating in Fantasy MLR last year. Let's get more people in that. Let's expand the leagues. Let's get involved. I know I've already heard a lot of people wanting to play. And hey, if you're a fantasy manager that played last year, spread the word. Get your friends to play if they like watching the MLR. It is a fun way to do it. Don't. Pass along the link. And maybe there are version of Vandy who gets to learn a little bit about MLR through fantasy.
Be better than me.
So information for all of that will be down below in the description, on our Discord channel, on our social media pages as well. It'll be all there. Again, paid leagues are available. We'll see how much feedback we get. Obviously, we need 8 willing people to be in a paid league to do that. So if you're willing, make sure you denote that. It'll probably be like a $10 or $20 buy-in. Portion of that will go to charity. A portion of that will help fund the organization fees for the Fantasy Ruckers to organize the league. And then also the winners and second place and third place finishers will all get some money back there. So we'll break it all down for you. But again, registration is up there. Free leagues, of course, available for you to join if you just want to have a little bit of fun. It's always a good time. And again, Fantasy MLR is here, and it's time to sign up.
I'm making playoffs.
Time to sign up.
Hot take.
Let's go.
Playoffs.
All right.
Well, book it bets.
Book it bets. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to book it bet it?
No.
All right. Think about it, Andy. Well, we have time next episode. We're in full swing now here with the fantasy.
What do you have to look forward to?
We have a lot to look forward to. Rankings are coming down your way. We got our predictions coming down your way. More book it bets. The TFR betting challenge is returning.
Oh, it comes back because you know what's coming up? Six Nations, baby.
Six Nations is coming up.
Wait.
MLR.
You have to say who won our first one, sorry?
It was a trial run. There were no winners or losers.
This guy's PR trained.
Hey, Vandy, just watch out. Six Nations, I'm on lock. Yeah. And once Super Rugby starts, I'm on lock. Yeah, right. You just wait. And then once the MLR starts, I'm on lock.
Yeah, right. If you guys didn't make me pay Utah, if I'd have to pick Utah every week, I would have beat you guys last year.
That's true. That's
true.
Right. And then, so again, rankings coming out on their next episodes, predictions coming up. We're starting to get you prepared for your fantasy MLR season. To end off the episode, a little bit of an exciting announcement. We might even have a draft kit available for those of you who are interested. Has the full list of rankings, has information, everything you need. We'll have more information available on that. It helps support the podcast. It helps support the show and the running of these leagues. I put a lot of time and effort into it to get that all coordinated. We'll see and have more information about that coming through here. But draft kit may be available to those who are interested. Well,
asking for a friend.
We'll see.
I'm asking for a friend.
Not be much.
Hey, buddy, no draft kit's going to help you out.
All right. You guys have anything else for the people?
Sadly. Don't be like me. Be better than me.
Yeah, be better than Vandy.
All right. Words
also
of wisdom.
Make playoffs, because people who don't make playoffs are losers. And I've
Anthem,
been a loser every week.
Figure it out. You represent a country.
51st state pretty soon, buddy.
You're America's
no
team.
kidding. All right, that's where we ended there when we start to get into politics. All right, for Matt Yee, for Devin Vandy Vanderpool, I am Ryan Yee. Fantasy MLR is back, baby, for 2025. We've set the stage. It's now time to do the work as we head into this Fantasy MLR year. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show.
This anthem stinks.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.